Good evening, I'm Wendy Stapleton and welcome to Wrokdown, coming to you live from Music Land. Tonight I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing, has to be Australia's finest export ever.
Yeah, better than beer.
Better than beer? Better than beer. By the age of 16, she was a singing sensation and went on to support a couple of little guys from the States, Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. Here in Australia. At their urging, she was asked to go to America, and she did. And as you say, the rest is history. Would you please welcome the gorgeous Miss Diana Trask?
Oh! These are my people. Yeah. Y'all come with me. Oh, yeah, I love it.
I love it.
I love it.
I love your vibe. It's
These
good.
people are
Come on,
great.
bring it on. Bring it on.
These
Bring it
people
on.
are my soul now. Where have you been? I'm loving all your folks out there.
Well, just looking at that clip, of course,
Yeah.
let's start at the beginning, because a lot of people in Australia weren't aware of how massive a star you were in America, because, of course, we don't get a lot.
You do.
Or we didn't.
You do so.
We didn't then. So
Well,
can we start? Can we start at the beginning with your career? Of course, you were born in Melbourne.
I was born in Camberwell.
Oh,
And then well, I just wanted to be really right.
really specific, yeah.
And then I went up to Warburton and lived in Warburton, went to school in Lilydale, and then a presentation convent down in Windsor. And all the boys across the street goes, well, here comes the convent girls, we'll have fun tonight. But yeah, I loved it here in Melbourne. I started off in the dance circuit, you know, and then I won a talent contest, won £1,000, which I put in the bank, and nobody got it. I wanted to go to America, and I was with Frank Ifield. You all remember Frank, don't you? Yeah.
I remember you.
I remember you. That one. Well, he said to me, you can't go to America. Nobody knows you over there. Nobody knows where Australia is. This is in 1960. And I said, well, I'm still going to go to America because I want to see if Leave It to Beaver really works. And he said, well, I'm going to London. So I said, okay. So we part our ways. And I'm walking down the street one day in New York. Nobody knows me, down and out sort of thing. And I hear on the radio, I remember you, that thing. And then everyone was asking me, what part of Austria are you from? I love her. She's a good audio. And anyway, so from there, I just sort of bummed around a while, and then I was lucky enough to be heard by Mitch Miller, and we recorded My Funny Valentine.
Do you remember that show?
Album. Sing along with Mitch,
Sing along with Mitch?
Good.
Well, I do.
Do you?
It
was a great
I'll
show.
fess up.
It was an amazing show.
Yeah.
It really was. It was all pre-recorded.
And that was out of New York?
It was out of New York. Mm-hmm. It was 6 pieces, but Mitch was, you know, a classical musician, and he understood music very well. And he had brought so many stars along, like Johnny Mathis, Doris Day, Rosemary Clooney. These are all stars that he discovered. Tony Bennett. And he did it with what we used to call a steel trap. It was a way that he did the rhythm section, and don't ask me how he did it, but it was classic. And you had to sing his way. He didn't like it if you sang anything swingy, because I'd been doing jazz, you know, and he didn't like that. You have to sing the way he wanted to sing it, and if he didn't like it, you had to go home. He'd just go home, and when you feel like doing it right, come back. Whoa, it was scary. But I didn't get too many of those because I snapped to pretty quickly, you know, and he was very encouraging on the other hand. He was very, you know, strong with me, but very encouraging. And one of the things he said to me back then was, you know, Diana, there's a writer down in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know where Nashville, Tennessee was, by the name of Hank Williams, he said, and he's writing some great stuff. And he said, I've got a song I think we should try. So I said, okay, let's try it. So we did I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. It was the worst recording you've ever heard in your life. I said, is there any way you could bury this? You know, because it was so, I mean, I just didn't understand the genre at all. So we didn't release it, I don't think. and we went on to do sing-along. But it's funny that years and years later, I was on the road with his son for years and years down the road, singing country music.
So eventually you left Sing Along with Mitch.
Yep.
And decided to branch out and do...
Well, actually, I fell in love. Oh, gee.
As you do.
Yeah, I did. I fell in love and came back to Australia because we wanted to get married. And my husband said, let's get married in your little hometown. It'll be a nice, quiet wedding. 3,000 uninvited guests showed up. We had panel vans, we had press, we had to call the policemen from Yarra Junction and Westburn and everything to come to control the crowds. And the poor little church was so hot, I'll never forget it. Father Serini was marrying us, and a big old roll of sweat went right down the end of his great big Italian nose and went bang on the Bible. It was funny.
I've actually seen, I don't know whether we'll have it tonight, but seen video footage.
Yes, from Old Country Church. We put that together.
It was on the news.
Oh, yeah.
And it was quite amazing, really, to actually see 3,000 people
it was,
all
in that
chasing after your wedding car.
It was incredible, and I love to look at it because you see the old cars, and it's amazing. I was on the beach in Oregon, and there was a man fishing, and I saw a woman sitting back there, and I figured that has to be his wife, you know. So I walked up and I said, you know, what's he doing? What bait's he using? And we started talking. She said, you're Australian. I said, you're Australian? And she said, where are you from? I said, I'm from the Upper Yarra Valley. She said, I'm from the Upper Yarra Valley. She said, you're Diana Trask. I was at your wedding.
Everyone was at your wedding. We're going to take a short break and be back soon with the gorgeous Miss Diana Trask. So,
you're so gorgeous, you know. Shouldn't be that gorgeous at that age. Shouldn't be so gorgeous.
After your 3,000 guest wedding,
oh yeah,
you came back. Oh, you went back to the States.
Went back to to the States, and we needed a new direction because everyone was saying Diana who? You know, we've been gone for 2 years. So Tom said to me, let's try Nashville. So we went down to Nashville in our camper van with the 2 little boys, and I was invited to the Grand Ole Opry. Have you heard of the Grand Ole Opry? So the original building of the Grand Ole Opry, and I sat on these hard benches, and what I saw was families, children on stage. I saw cohesion. I saw the heart of America, and I fell in love with it. I just did, and everybody was so nice. I remember a little girl, blonde woman in the corner. She said, well, I just want to welcome you to Nashville, Miss Diana. And that was Dolly Parton. Oh. And I mean, they were just so fantastic to me. And I said to Tom, okay, I want to move here. We're moving here. And he went, okay, then, all righty. So we had to sort of work hard a little bit to get accepted. And when I got an A&R man, he took me into the studio. And I tell this story, but I went in, and he said to me, look, I've got a new writer that's written some great songs, and he told me his name, and I said, I've never heard of him. He said, well, it's okay, he's never heard of you either. So his name is Roger Miller, and he wrote Lock, Stock and Teardrops for me, which was my first charting country music song, which went like top 10, I think, in most places. And I was ecstatic because I had an experience where I'd gone in with, you know, the Hank Williams song, and I hadn't sounded so good. But I had been working backstage with Tree Music. They had a little room, and everyone used to come there. Willie Nelson, Eddie Arnold, you know, whoever was in town, you know, they would just hang around this back room and they'd pick and they'd do their songs, and then they'd leave them with Tree Music and say, okay, somebody demo them. Okay, I was the demo singer. So I demoed all these songs for all of these writers, great writers. And during that time, I learned then how to just push a note, you know, and learned how to do the country thing as well as I could.
How different was it for you?
It was mind-shattering, truthfully, because don't forget, Mitch Miller had been telling me, "Sing on the beat, ja da ja da ja da ja," and country music was, "Well, I went down to the Western Bar and sat right there on the floor." It was like, so different. And I was around the other singers, and I'll never forget the Grand Ole Opry. The second time I was there, I went on and I did a song called the 1, 2, 3 song, which went top 10 for me. But it had a really high part in the middle, like like that, and everyone started applauding. And I thought I'd done something wrong. I almost stopped. But they started applauding and they started stamping. And it was just a completely different reception,
And why was that? Why did they?
They were loving it. They were loving it. I just thought they were hating it, but they were loving it. So it was just an amazing experience. And then to go out on the road, luckily after that I went on the road with Hank Williams Jr. And we went out on buses and we did all the fairs and rodeos and oh Lord, we saw the whole thing. And I did that for a few years with Hank. And Hank Jr. at the time had just turned 21. The day he turned 21, he inherited $21 million from his daddy's songs. I wished I had recorded that "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry" a little bit better. But we were out together, and he was always writing. He was always picking, always playing, and of course he turned out to be a great songwriter and wrote many, many songs. And it wasn't long after that, I went with a wonderful guy by the name of Roy Clark. And Roy and I were together for many years. We started at the bottom and we went all the way up to Las Vegas Strip. We were #1 show in the Las Vegas Strip for years. It was amazing.
How long did you do Vegas?
About 10 years. We did about 10, 12 weeks a year in Vegas. And Roy was like the ultimate country boy from the Virginia hills. He was just a country boy. I remember my drummer was illiterate. But he was a great drummer, but he couldn't, he was really from the hills. And he said to me, "Miss Diana, tonight my mama's in the audience. Can I bring her backstage to meet Roy Clark?" And I said, I knew Roy was a bit off about this, but I said, "Just a minute." And I ran back to Roy and I said, "Look, my drummer is from Dog Creek, Tennessee. He's brought his mama. Do you think I could bring her back?" He said, Sure. So the show was over. I took this woman back, and she was like in her evening gown. First time probably since her wedding she'd been in a long gown. And she just pulled a bra back there and she said, "See that there? That's $200. I got $200 in my bra." I said, "Okay, that's great." So I brought him in, and and her husband was dressed in one of those tweed jackets that you see, like the used car salesman, every flat, like somebody shot the couch, And he was wearing that. So they went in there, and Roy saw him, and I said, "Come on over and meet Roy." Well, this old boy, he got a hold of Roy's ear and he said, "If you ever in Dog Creek, Tennessee, and you need a used car, man, I can get you a used car." And she's saying, "See right in here, I got $200 right there." And Roy looked across the room to me and he said, "I thought you said these people was country." It was so funny. But that was an eye-opener because we turned the tide in Las Vegas. I was right there on the threshold of country music coming of age and going across the border where people of all states, all states started to come to our shows. They were packed and they loved it. They were up there stomping away with the best of them, and it was great.
And of course, the wonderful amount of people in America afford you a great living too. So It was a good year.
We did all right. Yeah, we worked 300 days a year though. It was a lot of days. We were on the road 300 days. I barely saw my children, and sometimes I think that was a pretty high cost to pay. But they turned out all right, although we did have our moments.
Did they travel everywhere with you?
When they were little, they did. And every summer we had a big bus, and I'd put all the kids and all the kids of all the pickers. I had 5 guys and their wives, and we'd take off on the bus and we'd go all around America, all the rodeos and outdoor fairs, which are huge, some of them. And, you know, we all had one big family picnic, but come school year, I had to leave them with a babysitter, and that hurt. That really did hurt.
So was Oh Boy your biggest hit in the States?
Yes, we just finished in Vegas. We came back and my A&R men said, I found this song in New York, let's do it. We'd done 3 songs and we thought we had a hit already in the can, you know. And I was tired. He said, do you want to do this? Just put this song down. He said, it's a good song. So we went in.
Did you like it?
I did like it, and I was tired, you know, but I put it down in 2 takes, and that was The Monster, so.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. Now, here she is, my girl who's always out and about. So what have you been up to?
Well, I got to go over to the Caravan Music Club. Lawrence and I took off, and Billy Miller, so Chrissy Jackson is in the audience. She will be so thrilled because she's been on my case. Billy Miller, you might know him from the Ferrets, Don't Fall in Love, and also the Spaniards. But he's done a myriad of other music that he's just released an amazing new album, and I should have bought the CD in. But it was a real fun interview, and he is just a character.
Oh, he's a real character.
And I believe when you were 15 or something, you sang in a band with him.
That's how I started singing.
With
Seriously.
Billy Miller.
Yeah. I started singing with Bill. Anyway, look, we've got his interview, so I won't go banging on about what I did when I was 15.
Oh, he told me everything.
Did he?
You and I got to go on tour together.
Let's go to the interview.
Now, just for the folks that get a little bit of background about you, because they think they know everything.
Oh.
But where did you start off before the Ferrets, not the Ferrets? Way before.
Rightio. I started off when I was 17 with the bloke that I've written most of my songs with on this CD and all my life, a guy called Martin Falls, and we're playing at a place called the Green Man in Melbourne for $5 each all night, and Jeff Book's Steak Cave, $5 each.
Did they throw in a steak?
No way.
Oh,
no way. And yeah, so we sort of, one of the songs on this record goes for 12 minutes, and we used to write quite orchestral songs, so nobody knew how to. We went on Happening 70 and a couple of shows, but nobody knew how to take us. So I ended up going up to Sydney in 1972 with my wife, girlfriend there, and just happened to audition for Superstar and got in.
I read that. What part did you play in Superstar?
Well, I was an apostle most of the time, but I got to play the Lord on 20 occasions. I was the understudy to Jesus. And we came down to Melbourne. I met the bass player from the Ferrets, Ken Firth. He wrote Don't Fall in Love. He was in the orchestra in Superstar. And he was the bass player, so we met then. And yeah, so when we got out of that, we started the Ferrets. 2 Double J, not Triple J, had this competition called Fresh Cream where bands won studio time. We won 8 hours. And did a demo, and I played it to Molly, and he just flipped his lid, and we were signed, and the Ferrets went off from there.
And that single was?
Don't Fall in Love. Yeah.
Who was she?
Eh? Well, the words weren't written by me. They were written by this friend of ours, our original drummer, who was a sort of streetwise ex-criminal type, and apparently it's about prostitutes. I found out a couple of years, but I didn't want to know. Anyhow, I know now.
The working girl, because they're business. Yeah.
No, so that was his angle, but
phenomenal song though. There's not one of us that couldn't just sing along with it right now.
That's right.
Now I read about the album that Molly, he put up the name Will He Ever Finish as the producer.
On the Ferrets record. That's right, because he never finished. He was never satisfied with a mix or whatever. It took 18 months to record. Yeah, but he was doing Countdown and going overseas and interviewing all these superstars and that. But
With
eventually
his own
got it.
superstars at home.
Yeah.
Now the album came out, I read, and if this is correct, the artwork was not finished. So the first run were just white cardboard with ferrets written on it.
That's right. I was just explaining that to my son who plays with me, and because I was looking for CDs to sell, old CDs today, and got down amongst it all and found it. And it says, I pulled it out, and it says, this is a temporary record sleeve. In 6 weeks you can come back and exchange it for the real thing. And I mean, who would do that?
Not me, and if you were smart you'd own it now and it'd be a collectible.
Yeah, but that was a Molly, you know, wasn't happy with the photo or something, you know. But he was fantastic. He's the best producer Australia's ever had by a mile.
Yeah.
And nobody gives him enough credit for that. It's always all the other crap that people talk about him, but he's the best producer I've ever
He's a remarkable human
life.
being, remarkable, and did so much for our wonderful industry, didn't he?
Yes, he did. But of course he wanted to be totally hands-on, so he wanted to be the producer, the manager, everything. So he sort of controlled everything.
Look, we want a shot at that because this is hot off the press.
Yes.
And I do believe that a mate of mine, you might remember this bloke called Mick Peeling.
Yes.
You might have been in a band with that bloke.
A band, and we also, after the Spaniards, which finished in, well, for me in 86, from about 1988 on, Mick and I did 10 or 11 years at the Clifton Hill Hotel. So
why I said about Mick, the segue to Mick, Mick's been playing this on his radio show, and he says it is a phenomenally good album. Tell me about it.
What a beauty. So, track one, I don't want people to be put off by track one. It goes for 12 minutes, but it's one of those long songs I wrote with my friend back in 1969. It's like a mini operetta, and I've got violins, and I've got James Black playing keyboards. I've got Andrew Duffield on piano. I need 9 people to play it today, that song, but the rest of them are pretty standard pop songs, and the only place you can buy it, apart from me, is Basement Discs.
Thanks so much, Bill, and this is
Thanks,
Wrokdown, over and out from the wonderful Caravan Music Club.
Well, there you go. That was Bill Miller. Gorgeous Bill Miller.
Isn't he great fun?
He, apart from being an amazing musician and such a talent, he's just a hoot.
But he was great fun, and it was a real privilege to interview him.
He's a real talent. Well, Soozie, and just on this note, before we go to a break, venues like the Caravan Club, the Flying Saucer, there's, in the last couple of years, a few venues that have opened up, and they're really kicking goals.
Hugely. And to a lot of pubs and places like Musicland.
And Musicland, yeah.
St Andrew's Pub is up and running and doing a fantastic job of putting music on every week. There's a new one that's opened over the Rock Bar over in Dandenong. There's another one, London Live, down in Bayswater. So all of these venues that are putting their heads up and going, all right, we support live music, and we really, really need it.
It's fantastic because I know we've got to go to a break, I'm sorry, but we really do need this, and even Musicland. Have a look.
How
have
gorgeous
a look at
with the new
Musicland.
refurbishment.
So it's really fantastic for Australian musos to finally have a choice of really, really decent venues to play for, especially for our young kids who are
and great live audiences, like the audience that supports us. They're going out and supporting gigs, so good on you people. Get out there. Fantastic.
Would you please
music.
put your hands together for the gorgeous Soozie Pinder. We'll be back soon.
Hi folks, Mick Peeling here with another edition of Mick's Picks on Wrokdown TV. This week I've got my old friend Nick Charles with a brand new CD. I don't know what's happened to the cover. I lost it in transit somewhere, but this is a fabulous new record. It's Nick Charles, a great Melbourne guitar player. I think it's about, I'll have a stab in the dark, about his 10th studio album. It's just wonderful guitar playing, wonderful songs. Nick sings them all, plays guitar on them all, of course, with a couple of his mates, and I definitely recommend this one, Nick Charles and The River Flows. Great album.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown, our special guest, the gorgeous Diana Trask.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. And the gorgeous Miss Wendy. How about her?
The very naughty Miss Wendy.
Looking good, girl. Looking good.
Anyway, look, there is always something that we don't know about our stars. There's always another private side of your life. And having spoken to you before last year, I was wondering if you could tell us about your life with your husband, Tom, sailing, because you are amazing, serious sailors.
Yeah, we took off for 8 years, and we bought a big boat, and we went sailing in the Caribbean for 8 years. And that will really straighten you out, because up until that point, I had been in music, you know, and I got to the stage where when I was speaking, people would shut up. But amongst sailors, that's not the case. You have to sort of earn your place at the table, you know, and I'd start saying things like, well, when I was appearing in Vegas, they say, well, what kind of an engine do you have? You know? And I go, well, how do you do your washing? Well, I do it in a bucket. How do you do it? You know? So that was a sort of a little wake-up for me. And the other thing I noticed, talking about laundry, because it's a mundane life. I mean, you've got to do your laundry. I saw, as we went down through the islands, I saw people in the streams, you know, doing their laundry. And I thought, oh, my God, I hope that, you know, that must be terrible. By the time we got to Venezuela, honey, I was picking out my stream. I had a washing hole, a rinsing hole, and a second rinsing hole with softener. And it was incredible. I mean, I was really good. My wash was incredible. One day I was on a beach down in Trinidad, and there was nobody, just nobody. And I had a freshwater trickle coming out of the rocks. I made my washing hole, my rinsing hole, and my blue hole. And I was in this bathing suit, and I'm thinking, you know, this is looking pretty ghastly. So I took the darn thing off and put it in the washing hole, and I'm washing it, I'm starkers. All of a sudden, the boat's clarion goes off. There's a whole tour bus of people. So I put on a sudsy bathing suit. Have you ever done that? Oh, that was not fun. But great stories down there.
You had some pretty hairy times, though.
Yes. Probably the hairiest one, I know which one you're talking about, is there's a body of water between Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. And it's a trench. It's 21 miles deep, and it's where the Atlantic empties into the Caribbean Sea. And it's historically very rough. It can be rough, it can be calm, but there's also, you know, talking to the people that had done the trip in the birdie bars, sitting around talking to them and say, oh, they have these freak waves that come up out of nowhere. And I was going, oh my God, you know, this is terrible. But we had to go to Puerto Rico. So Tom, we started out at dawn, and as we left out Samaná, which is down at the end of Hispaniola, the whales were coming up because that's where they winter, and they were putting their tails right up over top of the boat, and it was just unbelievable. And we were with another boat, and they were ahead of us, and we were just going down the island. Well, Tom had asked me, do I want to put, you know, the thing behind your ear so you don't get sick, because he thought, well, you know, out the middle it could get bad. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. He said, well, I'm going to do it. So we put the patch behind his ear. And we took off down the coast. As we were sailing down through the day, it was an overnight trip, I noticed Tom was kind of not sailing the boat, you know. He wasn't quite right on it. I thought, that's strange. By the time we got to the end of the island, there was a sunken concrete ship. So this ship was where you turned and you ran out 20 miles. And then you turned, had to be careful, because Washerwoman Shoals was right here off the end of Hispaniola. So we hit the ship. I said, it was just getting dark. I said, well, in the wintertime, better have something to eat. So I got him something to eat, and it did not stay down. It did not stay down. And in the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes, he was getting crazier and crazier. And when he was starting seeing bodies coming down the wall without their heads, you know, he was hallucinating. By then it was raining and the wind was coming up, and I was going into the ocean. I had to run out there 20 miles. The timer taught me how to navigate by my watch, and I knew the way, but I was scared, you know. So he was sick. It's just terrible. So I knocked him out. I put him in the bunk, I tied him in, and I gave him a shot, knocked him out, a post-operative calming shock. Because my family are all medicos, so I had free shots.
Got any of those shots
I
left?
got those shots, baby. So he got one, and he was out. Now, I'm in the middle of we call it the passage. I'm completely by myself. And the Mona Passage, it's called. And I saw the other boat up in front of me, and I saw that they were just, you know, making heavy way. I got on the radio and I said, you know, mate, how is it up there? Oh, well, my captain, this was the captain speaking, the owners are back in the cabin. They're deathly sick. Oh, great. So we got up to where I thought it was about 20 miles out, looking at my watch, and I said to Tom, he was raving on the couch, should I turn? He's saying, turn, whatever, just turn. Well, the problem is, if you turn right there and you get sucked over to the right, you end up in Washerwoman Shoals. Washerwoman Shoals is 20 foot deep, and it's this action. So if you get stuck in there in a sailboat, you can't get out, because the water you haven't got the strength to get out from there. So I'm having a freak attack, you know, that I'm going to end up in Washerwoman Shoals. So I turned the boat, and we're sort of sailing along, and all the sails are shortened because we didn't have very much sail up under that way, and the boat's doing okay. She's going along, the rain's clearing up, you know, it's a nice night. All of a sudden I hear behind me, now the waves are here, I hear behind me, I hear shh, and I knew, here comes one of those sucker waves, you know, those freak waves. I look back, and here comes this wave, and the whole boat went down like that. And where I had been standing up in the cockpit, and the cockpit was here, and here was the combing, now I was looking straight down at the ocean, a black hole. And I knew if I went over, I would never get out. There's no one be able to get me. So I saw God that night, I really did. It was really terrifying. The boat lifted up, she went right over it, and then she sat back up like that, and we were okay. And I'm going, you didn't get me, ha ha ha. Waltzing Matilda, see, you didn't get me.
And you do this for fun.
Yeah, and so that was okay. We went on. It was pretty scary. Tom slept through the whole thing. Dawn came up. Another big whale came right over in front of us like that. And Tom got up and he said, where are we? I said, we're in Puerto Rico. There's Puerto Rico right there. He said, geez, that was an easy trip.
Now, if something like that happened to me, you would never get me back on a boat again.
I made some promises that night. I swore, you know, from in the ocean right there, you can see the Southern Cross, and it hangs very, very low. And I was yelling things like, I can see you, Australia. It's okay, I made it. I mean, I was completely off the planet. If you'd have seen me, I was mad because I was just so terrified. And I made the promise I will never do this again. But of course, last year I did.
You did it last year?
Did. Just about the same place, yeah. Yeah, stupid, I know.
Well,
It
you
didn't
won.
get me last time, did it?
One very brave woman. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be back soon with Diana, and we're going to be talking about your tour.
Yeah.
And now, this isn't new product, but I do have to show everyone. Look at these. Look at these beautiful... Hang on, you hold that one. Look at these fabulous albums. Welcome back to Wrokdown, coming to you live from Musicland. Our special guest is Diana Trask, and we've been having a chat about your sailing, which is...
You like that?
I sort of like it in a weird way. It sort of makes me feel a little bit queasy, but I can't believe how brave you are doing that.
Oh, no.
But you're doing something even braver. You're going on an Outback tour.
No, I was. I did when I was right at the height of my career. I decided I wanted to come back to Australia, and God bless Dennis Smith, he brought me back for part of it. And I went to every little town that I could think of.
So this particular time out, you're here for a few months.
Yes, we've done quite a few bits and pieces and tours here, and we were last night at Whitehorse Theatre. We were sold out. We had a fabulous night.
It's a great venue.
It's a wonderful venue. I had a great band, as you mentioned. My lady was singing. She was my backup singer, and I tell you, it was just been a wonderful, wonderful experience to come back and sing for my people, and that's who you are. You're my people.
So tell us about the band, the reworking the.
Yes, well, recently. It's been 50 years since we did the Trask show. Can you believe that? 50 years. And I happened to have the tapes because they were given to me by Channel 9. And my cousin and I decided that we would try and get an album done because we took the tapes that had been in my garage for 50 years and we cooked them, heated them, and they're pristine. They've come back just pristine. And so we have the Channel 9 band, the original Melbourne Tonight band, all those musicians, and me 50 years ago, singing all those great songs, though, that everybody knows, like, A blossom fell, remember that song? From off a tree, or I'll be seeing you. All those old songs. And recently I played them for some friends of mine in Georgia, and I also had the video track. And they're people my age and younger, and they were going, who are these people? They're fantastic. I said, that was the Channel 9 band. And it was. We had Billy Hyde, and we had Kevin Hawking, and who were those other people I mentioned? Ronnie Rosenberg.
Ronnie Rosenberg.
Do you know these musicians I'm speaking about? They were on IMT, and they were really great. We were 50 years ahead of our time, baby. You can get it from dianatrask.com. That's the best way to get it. You'll always see my stuff on there. All the stuff that you see of mine, and I'm sure there's many other artists have told you this, that mostly all of the stuff that you see on the BoobTube, what am I trying to say? YouTube. BoobTube. I'm very literate, aren't I?
Diana Trash on BoobTube.
This I would like to see. I would like to see this. YouTube.
Well, you said it. You said it.
I'm not even going to go there. Yeah. But we are on iTunes too, so you'll find us on iTunes.
Well, I can only say
YouTube,
it's been just such a pleasure talking to you tonight. And as I said, I saw the show a couple of weeks ago, and it was just the best show. I loved everything, but I particularly loved a little segment that you did where you sat down at the piano, the band went off stage, and you just came back on your own and you sat there and you played some tunes that you'd recently written.
I've been writing a lot. I wrote a #1 song for the Osmond Brothers. Donnie and Marie Osmond?
Oh, we do, yeah.
Well, the brothers went to country music, and I wrote a #1 song for them. And I haven't really done, as much writing as I should have been doing. Been writing for the church. But so recently I've started writing a lot for plays and things like that. And I brought a couple along for the show, and people seem to really enjoy it. I
loved that segment, but we are very, very lucky tonight because you are going to take us out.
Sure.
With some of your songs.
Take you off the BoobTube, right there.
Would you please thank the beautiful Diana Trask?
This song was written for a show that I did, and it's based on the Civil War in the United States. And this is written from the point of view of a mother and a father. And this is the mother speaking. Oh, you don't know him like I do. He was my young son, eyes of blue. baby fresh and new. Oh, you don't know him the way I do. He was born in the middle of a howling storm, you know. And his father, oh, he held him close to his chest. And we loved our baby, our first, and we dreamed for him, you know. And oh, he loved the wind, and he loved the sea. And I can see him now, his golden hair, out there on the marshes, somewhere. Oh, you don't know him like I do. No, you don't know him the way I do. Now this is the Father speaking. Oh, you don't know him like I do. He was my young son, brave and true, and he would make my heart smile as he strove to be a man. Oh, you don't know him the way I do. When he was just a baby, he used to love to walk around in my shoes, you know. Oh, and I remember the first day I took him fishing. Well, he fell straight in, clambered out. I'm okay, Dad. I'm okay, Dad. And then they called him. Well, he saw it as his duty as a man. Say a prayer for me, Dad, he said. Then he was gone. And all I saw was my little baby boy. Oh, you don't know him like I do. No, you don't know him the way I do. He died for his country. He stood up on his own. And if you would ask him, he'd do it all again. I know. But I am here alone, Lord. He is there with you. So now you'll know him like I do. So now you'll know him the way